Welcome back to Thailand for some more Strike Fighters 2 action. We'll be going back to Vietnam today with our F-105 pilot Curtis Bradley for episode number 6, mission number 12. So 12 out of 100 missions, 12% complete now. It's October 1st, 1965, and we're flying with the 334th Tactical Fighter Squadron, the Eagles, out of Tak Li, Royal Thai Air Force Base. Our mission today is going to be to suppress enemy AAA defenses around the Yenson Ordnance and Ammunition Depot, attack and destroy enemy AA positions in the area. Call sign is going to be Trout, and we'll be taking 4 F-105Ds. Takeoff at 1:32, almost 1:33 in the afternoon. Flying as Trout 1 today, we're in aircraft serial number 61-0166. Full fuel and ammo. Outer pylons will be taking 2 AIM-9B Sidewinders, and our main armament today, 8 CBU-24 cluster bombs on the inner pylon. Center line, 650-gallon drop tank. This gives us a total takeoff weight of 49,960 pounds. We'll have a drag index of 106 today, and our max speed will be limited with those bombs to 525 knots, or Mach 1.3. Best cruise speed and altitude is going to be Mach 0.85 at 27,000 feet. And all 4 aircraft have the same loadout, no variation today. Over to the map now. Take a look at what we've got in store. So here's Tak Li down here, north of Bangkok, and we'll be taking off from here and then heading up to our ingress points just north of Thud Ridge, just northwest. We'll hit it here, then we'll begin our low altitude, high speed run down to actually the other side of Hanoi, and here is our ordnance depot where we need to suppress some AAA. We'll get a few hits in here, knock out what we can, and then when we get the green light, we will make our egress back up to the other side of Thud Ridge, and then back to Thailand. Pretty easy. Roster today, I'm in number 1, Second Lieutenant Curtis Bradley. 17 ground kills, 1 air-to-air kill. If you recall, we shot down that MiG. Sort of a rare event. Number 2 is Thomas Null. Trout 3 is John Risner, and Trout 4, Clifton Lamberry. Alright, pre-flight is complete. Let's get out there and get the mission underway.
Trout 1, tower, wind 150, at 5, cleared for takeoff, contact departure.
Alright, we're cleared for takeoff. Trout 1 is rolling. Airspeed's alive. There's about 90. There's 100 knots. We're looking for 178 for rotation. There's a buck 50. And there's 180 pulling back on the stick. Noses coming up. And we're airborne. Remember, we're accelerating to 400 knots as we begin our climb up, and then we'll be holding that 400 till we intercept Mach 0.81, although we are going to circle here. We're going to circle the airfield once to come around and pick up our wingmen. I'm actually going to save a little fuel and come off the afterburner and just go to full mil power.
1, 2 is airborne.
2 is up as we bring the radar on.
4, departure, radar contact.
And we'll begin a circling maneuver here and wait for 3 and 4 to get airborne. Join up.
Trout 4, going into my airspace. Contact, ridge round.
Trout, lead, red crown, radar contact.
So again, with our drag index, with our centerline tank, with the bombs and the outboard missiles, we're looking at a drag index of 106. So we're going to be heading up to 27,000 feet for the ride in, and cruising at Mach 8.5.
Cars airborne.
And our speed is actually limited by the bombs. Max speed with any of the drop tanks, whether they're centerline or on the pylons, is 600 knots. So we can definitely go faster once we've dropped the bombs, if we retain those tanks. And here comes the guys. Getting formed up, we'll begin our turn, and let's head out to our first waypoint here and begin the climb in earnest up to cruise altitude. There we go, there's 400 knots as we're rolling out, about to be on course. So I'll start pitching up. Pitch for speed, we want to maintain that 400 up through the climb. Get a good look at the outside of the Thunder Chief and our ordnance. There's waypoint 2 already, so turning to waypoint 3, this is going to be right on the border of Thailand. You can see 117 miles to go to that waypoint. We're just at Mach 0.8 right now, so just a little bit more, and we're going to start pitching. We're going to transfer from the indicated speed over to the Mach speed, and there's about 0.81, so we'll keep pulling up a little bit, and we're going to hold that there as we watch the airspeed, the indicated airspeed, drop back down as we get up into the higher, thinner air. And we're well on our way now up into the climb. Let's take a look around at Vietnam today and see who else is out here. We've got Mamba flight, which is some F-8s. Here looks like VF-31. VF-96 off the Enterprise. F-4s. Looks like they're rigged for bombs. Now, here's an interesting case. This is VF-213 off the Kitty Hawk, and these are the F-4Gs. Let's talk about those a little bit, because these are really interesting. This is a very limited and sort of obscure variant of the F4. There was only 12 of them made, and they're F4Gs. They're not the later F4Gs that we know as the Air Force variant. These were a special version of the F4B of the Navy Phantom that had several automated systems on board. It had a very early digital data link, which allowed the aircraft to land automatically. It had auto landings. It had an auto throttle to maintain speed, and I believe it also had remote firing capability. There was 12 of these made, so it was a very limited run, very experimental. One was shot down, and the other 11 were reverted back to regular B models and distributed back throughout the fleet. So they did not last, but there was this 12 aircraft. The camouflage is an interesting part of that too. It's actually a separate story, but it's interesting that the green Phantoms are the obscure G models, the first G models. At this point, this is late 1965. We're heading into early 1966. The C camo, the Southeast Asia camo, is going to be coming soon for the Air Force units. Of course, Navy and Marines never adopted those, but here late in 1965, the USS Kitty Hawk was chosen to do an experimental run on an olive drab camouflage pattern. And so half of the Kitty Hawk's aircraft, half of the squadrons were painted with this rubberized dull green, and then the other half were not. And that includes VF213 here. So we see these green F4s, sort of a very rare thing. Obviously, was not adopted. And at the completion of the Kitty Hawk's cruise, about midway through 1966, they made it back to the United States with their tour complete. And at that point, all of the camouflage was removed from the aircraft, and like I said, the F4Gs were reverted back to B models. Unlike the Air Force, the Navy opted to not go with the camouflage pattern and keep their various gray patterns with the sort of colorful squadron markings. They decided it was not worth it to go with any sort of green camouflage. It turned out it didn't work that well. You had to be directly over the plane in order for it to be any sort of camouflage at all. Otherwise, you saw the sides. They noted that the darker aircraft tended to attract more AAA fire than the regular gray aircraft, so it actually made them more of a target. Probably, I guess they were darker in the sky than your sort of low-vis gray or white patterns. And there was a big problem with deck safety. The planes were then so dark that seeing them on the deck at night or in low light or bad weather conditions was actually much harder. So there was a deck safety concern that they actually felt was more important than a potential MiG safety concern. So the Navy said no camo, and and that was the end of the experiment. So, but we do get to see that here in the game for a brief moment, just a couple of months, and pretty interesting that is included in this mod. The F4Gs are actually marked as an F4G. So yeah, pretty neat stuff. I think we've seen them before, the Green Phantoms, in some of the other early campaigns, but I haven't really researched it until now. So we're finally really talking about it in detail. All right, we're 47 miles now from the initial point. Friendly squadrons are calling that they're 5 minutes out from the target, so I'm going to begin my descent here pretty soon because I can't quite see it in the haze, but the Red River will be approaching soon. We can actually see Thud Ridge there on the radar out beyond the river, so time to make our descent down to 1,500 feet or less for the high-speed run around Thud Ridge into, or in this case, past Hanoi. Oh, and we've got friendlies under attack already out there.
Tiger 1, Red Crown, copy that.
Controller called in and notified us that there are MiGs out there.
The bandits right behind you.
Somebody's cutting it up in air combat somewhere. Just now there we can see the Red River coming into view. Coming out of the haze, so there it is, and I think that's going to be Futo out to the left, and Viet Tri is going to be to our right, so we're going to split between those two cities. Probably catch some AAA on the way through here. I'm just keeping an eye out for this air combat. We've run into MiGs up here on the way in, up in the northwest before, so. Alright, let's pick the speed up as well. You can see the, oh, look at the ground radar there. You can see the mass of units, air defense units that are in these two cities that we're going to split right between two. I'm actually I'm mistaken. That's actually Yen. We're going to go between Yenbai on the left and Futo on the right. So you can just see the airbase over there too. That's Yenbai Air Base, which, if I remember right, actually would not have been completed at this point. It might have been under construction, but we learned in the VPAF campaign that Yenbai was not constructed until about a year after the war, I think. I think it was in 1966 sometime.
I see them.
It's been a minute since I looked into all that. All right, we're really diving down towards the deck now. There, we're over 500 knots. Remember, the bombs limit us to 525, which we're getting pretty close to. Guys are still with me. No flak yet.
Bandits.
No bandits yet. Not by us. Hopefully we can just cruise through here
Gone.
unmolested.
Ah, they go.
There's 2,000 feet. We're going to get right down on the deck here.
Fox 2. Fox 2.
There's less than 1,000 feet.
I got him.
It's about 600, 700 feet. All right, let's level out. And we just pick up the flak as we're hitting the Red River over the top of that. Inch it up towards 525. Hold it a little short. All right, that wasn't too bad if that's all we got. Just a couple of token puffs of flak, but now we're past. I mean, we're out over the paddies now, north of those two cities. Tamdao Mountains growing up rather large to our right, to our 1 o'clock.
Fox 2.
There they are. Tamdao Mountains, Thud Ridge.
Chevy lead.
That's the peaks of it there.
Chevy 1, Red Crown. Copy.
Red Crown. Austin lead. Past waypoint 7.
Austin 1, Red Crown. Copy.
Red Crown. Tiger lead. Past waypoint 7.
Tiger 1, Red Crown.
All right, so squadrons are hitting waypoint 7, so several of them have passed their targets already.
Request assistance.
Mamba 1, Red Crown. Copy.
Mama's under attack now. We're just northwest of Thud Ridge.
I'm hit. Taking damage. Bingo fuel.
About a mile away here. We should be hitting this waypoint any second. And then we'll wing over to the right, head down the north side of the ridge. There it is. Waypoint 4. Heading out to waypoint 5 now. We're going to lose some speed in the turn thanks to the incredible speed bleed rate of the Thunder Chief. But we'll pick it back up again pretty fast in the straightaway. Remember, the F-105 was a drag racer. Nothing could catch it in a straight line when it was clean, but the second that you turned, it just lost so much energy.
I'm hit. Taking damage.
More friendlies taking damage. We've heard a couple of them report that now. Unclear if they're actually being shot down completely. Oh, and we've got a SAM in the air for the first time. So we've got MiGs and SAMs today.
Bingo fuel.
Deadly combination. We're about halfway down the ridge, which is rising up on our right. Again, taking this route, using the mountain to help shield us from the SAM launch sites and some of the radars, even though likely the Vietnamese defense system already knows exactly where we are and has been watching us come in, but the mountain does help shield us from
Bandit.
SAM launches.
Fox 1. Sam is down.
Speaking of which, there's another SAM up, so they are it's either one site being very active, or maybe they have several sites active today. We'll have to see.
Fox 1. Fox 1. Fox 1.
Wow, Phantom's getting in the action, firing radar-guided missiles at something. That's a lot of Fox 1s. And they got it! They got a hit, so one MiG down.
Fox 1.
12 miles out from our target. quite visible just yet. We're going to stay on target. We can see the Cow River snaking out down there in front of us. We're going to pass over that as we head into this sort of middle area between Hanoi, Bac Giang, and Haiphong.
Fox 1. Bingo fuel.
All right, over the river. Thai wind out here to our left, and just to our right, there's the primary MiG base of Phuc Yen, just north of Hanoi. And we are just zooming right by it, right next to it. And I just heard a MiG somewhere behind us, but we're not going to worry about that. There's a friendly picking up flak out in front and to our left. And our primary target should be somewhere just ahead now, probably visible. Yes, there it is. There's the ammunition site.
2, copy. Attacking your target.
All right, we've cleared the wingmen to engage. There we go. I can see there's a AAA gun right there on the side, and bombs are away. Ooh, let's pull up and away. We're a little low to release those cluster bombs. Forgot about that.
Red Crown, Tiger lead, passing waypoint 8.
Tiger 1. Red Crown. Copy.
Up high now, we can look down at the site. Let's try to find our next target here. Let's see, let's look for flashes of guns firing.
Stand inbound.
All right, there's one. There's a gun down by that little copse of trees there. Ooh, and it looks like they just saw me at the same time. All right, we're gonna come back around. And that'll be our target. Look at that, looking right down the throat of Phuc Yen.
Two's in hot. Fox 2.
Hopefully we won't pick up too much AAA from the airbase itself as we're just pulling around here, losing a lot of speed. We're actually less than 300 knots. That's not good.
Mamba 1. Red Crown. Copy that.
Stand inbound. 1, 2's off. Set.
All right, wingmen dropping their cluster bombs. 2 just made what looked like a Vulcan run. There's our gun. See the puffs of smoke as he's firing. There we go. M1939 AAA. Come in, release bombs. There's a SAM firing on the far side of the airfield behind us. Just saw a glance at that.
Red Crown. Copy that.
And it looks like we smacked that AAA. There's the SAM plume.
2, copy.
That's actually Gaia Lam. That's the different airfield. It's between Gaia Lam and Hanoi itself. Back there is one of the active SAM sites. Good, good. We got 2 smoke plumes down there. That's at least 2 AAA sites out of commission.
1, 2's off.
2 just got another one. Man, I think he's just strafing the hell out of the ground. Oh, I got a flash there. I've got a AAA gun right there. You see the flash? There, it's just on the pipper now.
Trout. Lead. Red Crown.
Got him.
Good job.
And with that, we've got an RTB, so let's get the hell out of here.
Red Crown, Austin lead, passing waypoint 8.
Somebody passing up and to my right. That's a friendly. That's one of the F-105 wingmen.
Fox 2.
All right, let's get everyone rejoined. We're going to head back for Thud Ridge. Time to make ourselves a snappy exit. Picking up AAA from the city now. Us, another friendly on the far side. up at 575 knots. I still have the tank on board. I actually have not jettisoned it. No real need to at this point. We're good up to 600 knots with it. And just trying to be a little more realistic in the keeping of some of the hardware on board the aircraft. If I don't have to get rid of it, I don't want to. I can't remember if the drop tanks actually count towards the weapon inventory. They might for the squadron, so best just to bring them back when we can. Certainly drop tanks, we talked about the multiple ejector racks being a mission critical item where orders were issued to pilots to not jettison them. They had to bring them back because the US at this time, this early part of the war, was short on everything.
No damage.
The insane preparations for nuclear war that the US had gone through the 40s and 50s meant that when actual conventional war broke out in the 60s, they had very little on hand. All these missiles didn't work that they had been developing over the years. We had to buy conventional bombs back from Germany. Remember we talked about that because the US ran out of bombs. Oh. Little patch of AAA there. It ends as quickly as it began. F-105s at this time in the early missions, in some cases were going out with one bomb on board. We've just lost a wingman. Damn it. Not sure to what, but they are supposed to be regrouping on me, so I guess we don't know that he's lost. He may have just taken damage. We'll reach the end of the Thud Ridge here, and then we'll take stock of who's still with us. But yeah, running out of multiple ejector racks, running out of bombs. F-105s, instead of scrapping missions or sending less planes, they would send full squadrons with minimal bomb loads, 1 bomb per plane or maybe 2 bombs per plane. Sort of ridiculous. So at this point, I'm going to jettison as little as I can. So I've got my racks on board still. I've got the centerline tank, which is nice and empty at this point, but we'll bring it back for possible reuse later. I'm going to try to avoid jettisoning anything unless we get into air combat. Just a couple miles from the waypoint here. SAMs are still active back there. Luckily, none fired at us. We're a little lucky at that. In that, staying down low helps, of course. The SAMs do have a minimum envelope. At this point, they're not able to hit lower targets. All right, I see. Uh-oh. Oh, this is bad news. So I see 2 wingmen behind me. Alright, so 2's with me. I was hoping for maybe a status report from everybody, but I guess we don't know yet who is lost. Alright, here comes the river again. Back out past Yenbai. Just get right down on the treetops. Blowing past right over the rooftops of Yenbai. There's the Red River. Rail yard down to our right as we zoom past. And we're out over the river, heading for the mountains of northwest Vietnam. That's sort of like the finish line. If we can just keep going, we'll stay low for a little bit, just to make sure that we completely clear the area in case there's any MiGs following, but then we'll begin our climb back up to altitude. And now clean, we're going to go right up to like 35,000 feet. Cruise at point Mach 9, I think. Yeah, optimum cruise for a clean aircraft, Mach 0.9 at 35K, so that'll be our goal. So up we go. Full mill power. Here in the game, of course, we have to be a little more judicious with our fuel usage because we don't have the luxury of air-to-air refueling. On the real missions, because of the high heat and humidity, the F-105s, and also being overloaded, heavily laden with bombs, they would have to take off with less than a full fuel load. They'd use a lot of afterburner. Once they get airborne, they would have to hook up with a refueler and fill back up. And then they would use afterburner, heavy afterburner, through the attack run, so on the way back they'd have to meet up with the KC-135s again. We can't do that in the game, so can't use maybe the burner as much as I would like to. Alright, so we're getting up to altitude here, and you can see that looks like 2 and 4 have rejoined on my wing. Looks like number 3 we have lost. I've gone searching for him through the external view, and he's just completely gone. He's not out there somewhere, so I don't know what happened. We'll have to see in the debrief. It's always possible that he got caught by a MiG, but it seems more likely that maybe ground fire got him. Not really sure. Alright, here we are up at 35,000 feet. We're at cruise speed. We're really high up. You can start seeing the curvature of the Earth here, in fact. We're so high. We've had no further issues leaving Vietnam. We're down to about 2,600 pounds of fuel left in the plane, with 44 miles to go to our medium waypoint. So right about at the border of Thailand. But we're doing pretty good on fuel usage up here at this altitude. We're quite fuel efficient, so yeah, we got a couple thousand pounds to go, and we'll be at idle during the descent. So we're in pretty good shape for fuel here. I'm not worried about it. Get a good look at the wing shape of the F-105, and I've been rereading my Thunder Chief book, my big book of Thunder Chiefs, and that same wing shape was originally the original design for the F-105. It was nearly those exact same wing shapes on the side of basically an F-84, which is almost comical. The wings are sort of too big for that size of the fuselage. It was a very long, drawn-out process getting from what was essentially an F-84 with a nose cone on it and having to move the air intakes from the nose to the wings. That was a reconnaissance version of the F-84, and then that sort of morphed into the first designs for the F-105, and then much later, the design was radically redesigned, eventually landing in the mid-50s on the design that we know and see here today. All right, so from 35,000 feet at a 300 knot descent with idle power, we're going to need 42 miles. So at about 50 miles here, I have come back to idle, and we're going to pitch for speed again, this time 300 knots, and we're on our descent down into Thailand. And should be smooth sailing from here. I highly doubt that we've been chased by a MiG or anything, and shouldn't have any more AAA, so now we're just back to business as usual with making our descent and getting everybody on the ground and not fudging up the landing. It's been a while since I've landed the F-105. I've been playing many other games with lots of other planes, so we'll shoot a landing here and hopefully it won't be too bad. There's Tockley out just to our right as we're down at 6,000 feet now. Begin a nice gentle turn to the right and we'll come around, line up with the runway for our approach for the overhead. Here we go, over the top of the runway. Wingman break.
2, copy. I'm returning to base.
And over the opposite threshold, 1 is in the break. 275, we're clear for gear and flaps. Looking for 220 on downwind, around 180 for final approach speed. We're a little high, but like I said, it's been a while since I've done this. So I just want to give myself a little bit of a cushion of extra altitude. In case we start to drop out of the sky. That would be bad. Alright, turning base to final here. Everything's looking pretty good. Alright, we're a little fast, but again, just giving myself that cushion for the turn. Let's pop the air brakes out now, because we can drop down to about buck 80. Using the air brakes to control speed, keeping the throttle up. And here we go. Fast, floating big time. And there's the touchdown. About 5 degrees nose up. We're going to hold up the nose for a bit of aerodynamic braking. I have been flying a lot of Navy planes lately. We were in the F4J there, in the flight sim tour. I'm very used to just slamming planes down and not flaring. So this is the first time in a while I've actually tried to flare. And it's a little fast. Not the end of the world, though. We'll get it right next time. And down at the end of the runway already here. We'll pull off over into the ready area here. We'll clean up the airplane, pop the lid open, and taxi in, and I will see you back in the debriefing. All right, not a bad outing today. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on here. Our objective was to suppress enemy air defense threats around Yenson Ordnance and Ammunition Depot. Flight time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, 56 seconds. 4 primary targets were destroyed, with 1 F-105 lost, which we knew that was number 3, but overall a success rating of 1,100 points, and guess what? I was awarded an air medal. So good job to Curtis Bradley. Let's take a look at the stats. Alright, so I got 1 kill with the 20mm cannon, 4 hits and 1 kill with the cluster bombs. So not a great ratio with the bombs, but I did get a lot of hits. Second Lieutenant Null got the 2 Vulcan hits, and nobody else got any hits despite dropping all of their cluster bombs. Here we go. Second Lieutenant Null destroyed a ZPU-1 AAA. That was with his gun, so he actually didn't get any hits with the cluster bombs, but he got 2 kills with the Vulcan. And here I am at 1411, destroying an M1939 AAA. And I hit several fences with the cluster bomb as well. So those counted as those hits, I guess, that I got. And here I am firing the gun. So I hit KS-19. So that was my second kill. And here we go. First Lieutenant Risner was hit by 37mm CP-39T cannon. Well, that sucks. So yeah, so here's this AAA unit. So I'm not sure if he was attacking another unit or if he was just... Maybe it was that briar patch of flak that I flew through that just appeared out of nowhere. Maybe it caught him. I don't know, but unfortunately, here's Risner. After 20 missions, apparently, he is now KIA, so he did not even make it out of the aircraft, which is interesting. I think a lot of times gunfire doesn't straight up kill guys, but like usually a missile hit will take them out completely, but something happened. Maybe he got hit directly or just couldn't get out of the plane, but another unfortunate loss. A sad loss, but the overall mission was accomplished. Oh, and by the way, you can see that obviously I forgot to, in the background here, we can see the VPAF pilots doing their thing. Obviously forgot to switch out the debrief image prior to switching over to the F-105 campaign, so I'll have to fix that in the future. Pulling back the curtain a little bit, it's all in these. All of the Vietnam ones are all obviously in the same game. They're not separate. It's not like the NATO. The NATO campaign is in sort of a completely separate game, and the some of the other ones are separate. These ones, if I'm planning on doing a particular campaign, I have to switch out all of the background JPEGs, which obviously I forgot to do here, but we'll fix that for next time. Okay, final order of business. Let's look at this this air medal that I got. Secretary of the Air Force presents the Air Medal to Second Lieutenant Curtis Bradley for service as set forth in the following citation: meritorious achievement in aerial combat over the Yen Son Ordnance and Ammunition Depot, North Vietnam, on 1 October 65. On this date, Bradley displayed superb airmanship and determination to successfully complete his assigned mission in the face of heavy enemy fire. The professional skill and courage exhibited by this officer in the performance of his duty reflect highest credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. So outstanding. So we've got ourselves an air medal on our 12th mission. We're becoming sort of a veteran here already. Even though only a second lieutenant, we're definitely getting our hours in heading into Vietnam. That is going to do it for this episode. Thanks for joining me. We'll be continuing here the Bradley saga very soon. So come back next time and see what's in store for our F-105 pilot in about 3 or 4 in-game days. All right. Have a good day. We'll see you then.